Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
In Tarrant County, we have Hart InterCivic equipment. In January of 2024, Tarrant County invited hackers to attempt to hack the election equipment during logic and accuracy testing. On January 11th, 2024, at approximately 8:45 a.m., I was standing behind the Director of Information Security and the Chief Information Officer for Tarrant County as they stood directly in front of the controller and scanner. Suddenly, the two men became distressed, and I overheard one of them say they are hacking the machines. The CIO said, "Shut it down," and someone immediately turned off the controller. They then focused their attention on two young men typing on their cell phones near the exit door and approached them. Later, I heard the director and CIO discussing how far the Wi-Fi reached, and they estimated about 100 feet. By this time, the two young men had moved outside and were still typing on their phones. Eventually, the CIO followed them to their car. In a separate incident on January 31st, 2026, while serving on the testing board for logic and accuracy testing, during the testing validation process, I personally witnessed a vote for a candidate being flipped to an undervote. Not only did the machine flip the vote in the tally, but it also altered the ballot image and removed the vote. This is not an isolated incident, as other instances of vote flipping have been documented by other members of the testing board. The county attributes the vote flips to dust in the machine or machines not being cleaned properly, even though the vote flip was replicated on another scanning machine in the exact same race, on the exact same ballot out of a batch, was altered in the same way. There's more detail in the affidavits included in my packet. Thank you.
It's me, Tommy Midway, your personal internet attorney. Have you ever personally...
Sorry about that. I was looking at a commercial, which is really, really funny, that the video team put together, which is pretty neat. You know, we talk about election fraud, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. That's Hart InterCivic. You know, we have very little conversations about Hart InterCivic, but all of these different election machines are actually backed by private equity. They're fierce competitors with each other. They want to look like this is a little bit of theater. And they're all built by shit people. There's no security to it. They can be hacked. They leave open ports and passwords called password. And if you're Jenna Griswold for Dominion Voting System, you just publish the passwords on the website. And you know what? Clean hands. You can do whatever you want, because at the end of the day, you have immunity. We are in a place right now where the only people that believe that the elections are actually real, they aren't fraudulent kabuki theater, are the retards and those people that are complicit. And that's on both sides of the aisle. Don't talk to me about 2020. Don't talk to me about 2022. Don't tell me that it's an isolated event and it was only President Trump. It's garbage. Every election is stolen. They select, not elect anyone. They've created this environment where you're not allowed to look underneath the covers. And they have chilled the effect of people looking in and doing their civic duty by arresting and putting people like Tina Peters in prison for 9.5 years. And it took a Democrat to get her out. It took a Democrat to get Tina Peters out of prison. I want to remind you of that it took a Democrat. And this is the post that I put up related to all this kabuki theater. I think Scott Bottoms won the primary. The systems are fraudulent in Colorado. They are not elections, they are selections. Jenna Griswold is trash, a treasonous traitor. Weasel Weiser know better. We are captured until we decide we are not. Super important. Now with that, I've been talking about the fact that Mitch McConnell is brain dead. And you had people come out, like Scott Jennings come out and said, I just had a 20-minute conversation with my friend Mitch McConnell. I'm under really good authority that Mitch McConnell, we knew he was a little messed up, but the guy is literally just a walking corpse. But David put this up, and this is a video. I said he won. David Clements won the internet today. This was yesterday. And hopefully we have the video, but it says, update after Mitch was gracious enough to speak with me on the phone. He invited me in for a visit. I know, I can hardly believe it. He reiterated that we need to pass the Save America Act and fix our rigged elections. He expects a full recovery, but I asked that they continue to keep you updated until he can make a statement. This is Mitch McConnell sitting there with David Clements. And then David added a follow-up to that I was like, okay, well, maybe he didn't win the break the internet with that one. Maybe he broke the internet with this one. Let's go ahead and put it up. I just got off the phone with Mitch McConnell. We spoke for 17 minutes, during which he confessed to wanting to get rid of rigged election machines, fraudulent mail-in ballots, and early voting, which facilitates fraud. He apologized sincerely for doing nothing in 2020, failing to support Trump and the soft coup against him. He was really, really sorry for taking part in schemes with Obama, the CIA, and many others. After a small health scare, he has greater perspective on these matters and expects a full recovery. He asked that I personally convey his sentiment to our elections are rigged, and even his re-election was a sham while he recovers. He asked that everyone respect his family's privacy, even if it takes them to communist China. Our elections are fraudulent, guys. They're fraudulent. There's not a part of our election system that you can tell me represents the interests of the people. And in large part, it's stood up by the mainstream media. And, of course, influencers that are paid to influence and given access to technology platforms. I got an email yesterday. The email was very clear. It says, Mr. Oltmann, we'd like to interview you. And I said, okay, what do you want to interview me about? How you've been able to bypass the tech superpowers and maintain your prominence as a podcaster across so many different platforms. So how do you do it? And I was like, why would I tell you? We're published on over 60 different platforms, audio, video. We go live. And yeah, the tech companies are going to try and keep me quiet. But we still maintain to be in the top 0.1% of podcasts globally, which is a heavy honor. Now we have a guest today that I saw a bunch of videos, and I need to have him on the podcast. His name is Lorenzo Sewell. He's an American non-denominational pastor. He's a former gang leader, so he's of my tribe. He's pro-Trump activist who served as a senior pastor at the Detroit-based 180 Church. He's got the gift of being able to articulate to a lot of people just all the stuff that is happening in the country. He doesn't buy into race baiting. He doesn't buy into all the hype of what the radical left has been able to do. And he talks sensibly about where we are realistically in our country. And let's talk about the fact that more, and these are some stuff I'm going to ask him questions about this. But I will tell you that more Black Americans have died since Roe versus Wade was put into place and abortion became a right than ever died in World War II. It's been the largest genocide of the American experiment. You'd say, Joe, come on, man. People had their free will. No. Free will is when you're actually told that you have a choice. When you don't set up things like Planned Parenthood under the guise of eugenics and Margaret Sanger wanting to eliminate minorities, or that you create substandard educational environments, or a school to prison pipeline, which does exist. See, there are things that, by the way, the left talks about that we're going to have this conversation with Pastor Sewell about. It's true. Racism has existed since the beginning of time. Black people don't against white people against black people, Asian people. It doesn't matter. And we've created it. We've over the last 2 decades, we've actually instituted an environment that favors it. Now, I thought my generation got rid of it. We thought we solved it. we did. I mean, I like woke up. It's like 2020. You knew it was there. But I want to tell you a little bit. I want to give you a little bit of an insight to him before I bring him in. But here he is, hyping up the crowd for the rededication 250 ceremony in D.C. I want you guys to see this. Let's go ahead and play it.
But when our founding fathers were thinking about blessing America, they were thinking about the God of the Bible. They were thinking about our Lord Jesus Christ. And how many know there's only one name given among men? Oh, I know his name is Emmanuel. He is God with us. He's the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. I'm wondering if you know him. He's a mind regulator. He's a yoke destroyer. He is a bridge over troubled waters. His name is... Oh, he's the sweetest name I know. Come on now. If you believe in the name of Jesus, come on, put your hands together and give him the glory. He's the only name. This is a country where God could take a kid that was born and raised on the east side of Detroit. I was mentored by murderers, a student of the street. Only in America could God cause a kid like me to have the opportunity to meet and pray with the president. I said only in America. Come on now, do I got a proud American out there? Oh, for at least I know I'm free. Come on now. And I thank God for the men who gave that right to me. Do I have somebody in here that will say, I will stand up today and fight for the soul of a nation? If that's you, come on, put your hands together and give him some glory. We love you, Jesus.
Look at all those white people standing up. I think the greatest part about this entire deal is that the left is a small group of ridiculous people that have convinced everyone that you must stand out there and you must virtue signal and you must lie and you must talk about the transgressions of what we did to the indigenous people of this country. But it's like history stops. We don't go back further. We don't examine the fact that the people that were here, the Native American, they conquered this continent too. They came across the Siberian Strait, came down into America. They didn't always live here, and they fought for thousands of years. We are sold a bag of goods on victimology. And I got a ton of things that I want to ask the pastor about. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will have Pastor Sewell.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Oh, our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. All right, welcome back. I'm not going to take any more time talking about myself. I want to bring in Pastor Lorenzo Sewell. He's a warrior. And so, Pastor, welcome to the show.
Man, I'm so Holy Ghost happy to be with you, Joe. Thank you for this opportunity, this privilege and honor.
It's great. It's great to have you. And I've most of the time I don't spend this much time looking into someone I'm going to have on the show. I kept seeing all the Instagram videos of you speaking, and I was like, I sent it to the team, and I go, I have to have him on. I have to have him on. Like, this is my brother. This is the guy. Like, I feel him. I want to join the rebellion, the Jesus rebellion.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, God is moving. I think 250 years ago, Joe, that our founding fathers made a decision to rebel, right? They made a decision to say to King George, there's a greater king. And we believe that divine providence will protect us. And now you and I, we had the privilege and the honor of being able to eat from the fruit of their labor. And America has become so entitled. America has lost its sense of patriotism, where a woman by the name of Sunny Holton, can you imagine it on The View? It's just unbelievable. Can't believe it. She says she's afraid to walk down the street that has American flags. And it's just, what country? Okay, let's say America on its worst day. I mean, just put America on its worst day. It's better than any other country in human history. So you mean to tell me that that flag causes you to feel tormented? But I'm in Detroit and I can just drive 15 minutes south of my church and I can feel like I'm in Iran that said death to America. They said they want to kill Pete Hegseth. They said they want to kill J.D. Vance. They said they want to kill our blessed president. And she's not afraid of that. I mean, it's just unbelievable, Joe.
No, she feels at home with those people. She feels at home. This is the ultimate betrayal of the American soul, right? They've stolen the soul, and they've done so through, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East and Africa. I always tell people, if you don't like it here, just go there. You will find a new appreciation. You will find, and look, I love Africa. It's a great place. A bunch of different countries there, a bunch of different cultures there. It's fun to visit. I'm not sure it'd be fun to live, but
absolutely not.
But that's why they came here. They came here. They
Totally
take from us what is not theirs to take, and now they are trying to do everything they can to destroy this Christian nation. And that's,
absolutely. I mean, and it's
what they're doing.
And you know, if I were the devil, Joe, what I would do is I would first of all make Americans think that they actually have elections. That's one of the reasons being that when President Donald Trump came to my church 2 years ago for his birthday weekend, my political minister and my political mentor, Ramon Jackson, he came to me and he said, listen, the elections are being stolen. I moved out of Detroit. I moved to Ohio. I was re-registered back to my old address and voted for without my knowledge. So I pulled my voter history and I saw my own name come up on the 2020 election. And I wasn't even here. I was in Ohio. And this isn't just one incident. And even if it was one incident, according to Pritchard versus the United States government in 1948, the case, the landmark case that we actually get the whole client attorney privilege, it was about election fraud.
Yeah.
Out of Bourbon County, Kentucky. So the United States government says if one single vote, if that one vote is distorted, guess what? The entire election is distorted. And that's what we're dealing with.
Well, you know, they keep telling us there's nothing to see here. They won't let us look underneath the hood. They say it's a trust us bro system. So just trust us. Just trust us. We got it all under control. Are we allowed to look at cast vote records? No. You're allowed to inspect the ballots? No. And when you do, they put this moniker, this scarlet letter on you, and they do everything they can to ridicule you and to beat you into the ground. And we were just talking about Tina Peters. In her case, the chilling effect that it had by her looking underneath the hood and finding massive crimes, they forgive the crimes and send her to prison for 9.5 years.
I've never seen in my life, Joe, I want you to think about this. I've never in my entire life seen law-abiding citizens. These are people, for the most part, that are law-abiding citizens. I've never seen people that are judges, people that are part of the Department of Justice, people that are part of the intelligence community, the election integrity community, the judiciary community. I've never seen so many people act like fraud is just something you could just treat
It's
laissez-faire, like, oh, it's
willy-nilly.
okay.
Here's a fraud for everybody. You ready? Al, what are you talking about? This is normal. Normalize it.
It blows my mind. And what hurts me more is in my state, which is, as you know, Michigan, I'm in Detroit, Michigan, you have Trump appointees, people like Helena Jarbo, who is in the Eastern District Court. She is telling the President of the United States of America that the Department of Justice cannot be trusted to get Social Security numbers and to get driver's license numbers from our Secretary of State about elections. I mean, it is wild that you can have a Trump appointee tell the Department of Justice, I can trust you on everything else. I can trust you to give me all the cases you do. I can trust you to give me all the authority that I have. I can trust you to give me all of that. But when it comes to this one thing, you can't be trusted. It is unbelievable. We're living in a totalitarian government.
You know, you just said it. I often say that communism's already here. We've got to now beat it back into the hole it came out of. But it's got its grips on our communities, and there's really only two choices. And this is one of the biggest. This is why I changed my podcast from Conservative Daily to Untamed Nation, is because there's either team evil and there's team good.
Sure.
There really isn't Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Everyone has been marginalized in this system, except for the freaks and the ridiculous. I call them the retarded because, frankly, they're semi-retarded, right? They are. Gotta love them, but they're like, elections are free and fair. What do you do for a living? Oh, I work the Slurpee machine at 7-Eleven. Okay, you would know for sure that elections are perfectly. I mean, you're an expert. I'd put you on the stand all day long. It's so obvious, though, Pastor. It's so obvious that the devil is telling its lies.
Sure.
We're just supposed to, and these are people in positions of trust and authority. You talked about the AUSA. You're not allowed to have access to this stuff. And President Trump's like, listen, I appointed you to do this stuff. You just get to the bottom of it. Oh, no. You know that they're lying when they're doing that. You know they're lying.
Yeah. And for me, Joe, if you were to say to me, okay, Lorenzo, did you believe the elections were stolen? I didn't believe that. I had no idea. If you would have came to me and said, Lorenzo, do you believe the elections were stolen? I would have said, I don't know. Maybe I think President Donald Trump lost. He was mad and he lost, until I met physical people. I've always voted conservative. I've always been Republican because I believe in life and I believe in the sanctity of life. I believe in traditional marriage. Always been a Republican.
Right.
I didn't understand the power of our vote as it relates to why they cheat. They cheat in elections to mismanage and misappropriate our resources. We have a $7 trillion budget on the national level. In terms of international level, we do obviously commerce. When you look at our state level, you look at our county level, you look at our municipal level, you're talking about 5 levels of budgets that the demonic Democratic Party knows that as long as they can control those markets, remember the largest cities in our country, out of 100 of them, 67 of them are ran by Democrats. They know as long as they can cheat, they can steal, they can take those markets over. And just like Zohran Communist Mamdani, he is literally sitting in the most powerful seat. Are you kidding me? It's the most important city in the world. He's sitting there with a $116 billion budget, bigger than the entire budget of Florida. He's sitting there making all of his friends rich, and we're just sitting back doing absolutely nothing. Something's got to change, Joe.
Brother, and this is where I watch your videos and I go, look, just because we don't choose violence does not mean we're not capable of great violence. We don't choose it.
Totally.
But God said, Jesus said, sell your cloak and buy a sword, right?
Yes, sir.
And when they said, got it, when they said, okay, I heard, right? And I'm a big proponent of basically studying Aramaic to Arabic to all the different languages related to the Bible, because I want to understand the vernacular, right? Jesus did tell us to turn the other cheek, but he did not say go play for team evil. Do not crawl into the hole and allow team evil to do what it's done to our country and, frankly, the world, because this is an endemic problem in every nation. The stuff that's happening now, the dog whistles that are being used, this communist ideology has gripped the world. And it's almost like a sleeper cell of sorts that's happening in the country. And so I look at this and I go, we are primed for a rebellion, but what does that look like? Like, what is a rebellion? They killed Charlie Kirk, right? They killed a man that loved the Lord and he loved people. He could talk to people in a way, frankly, I don't have time. I don't have time to debate the ridiculous. He was good at it, right? You're like, that guy's ridiculous. He's like, no, I'm going to talk to him. I'm like, stop talking to him. You don't debate the ridiculous. He loved it.
Sure.
They've taken everything that we have pushed towards it's so good, and they've made it. They've made us they've made it difficult. They've made it difficult for good to feel good. Does that make sense? It's just
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says it, Joe. The Bible says in the last days, men will call good evil and evil good. And to your point, what's happening now is our normal is considered crazy. It's normal for women to play against other women. It's normal for a child to remain the way they are as it relates to their gender. That's normal. But now, for our normal, you and I are just saying normal things. That's considered crazy. It's crazy now for the mainstream media to articulate traditional family, to articulate that our children are made in the image and likeness of God. Now, if a child wants to transition, that's considered normal, and we're considered crazy. And this is what's nuts about this. If you look at the American Pediatricians Academy, they're out of California. Obviously, we know California is just completely fell off a cliff. They're from, I don't even know what happened with California. It used to be Reagan State. I just don't know what happened with California. But you think about this. This small group, which represents 15 doctors, out of a study out of Sweden, think about this, Joe. They said to us as parents that if you don't let your child transition, that child's going to commit suicide. So President Trump says, hold on for a second. The Federal Trade Commission stepped in and said, you can't tell pediatricians, you cannot tell parents that their children are going to commit suicide because of a study in Sweden if they don't transition. And you know what the federal judge said? Nope, you're wrong, Mr. President. We can do what we want. And this is why they let him win. This is why they let President Trump win. This is why they didn't cheat him. Because they knew that they would stop him through people like Thune, through Lisa over there in Alaska, through Susan over there in Maine. Right. They knew it. And through these federal judges. So what did they do with our dear president? They let him win. Now, it's 3 times he's won. They let him win this time because they knew that they would stop him through federal judges and they would stop him through rhinos. But I believe, Joe, enough is enough. And shows like yours, it's awakening the soul of a nation. I really do believe that.
Look, it is, we have got to build a fraternity. This judicial coup, which is what you're talking about, these aren't judges. These are idealistic communist zealots. These are people that have done really bad things. They're evil. And, you know, in every society, if you look at lawlessness, in a lawless society, you have a line, right? Illegals, by the way, they're here illegally. By definition, they're above the law because they're breaking the law in order to be here. But then you have the technocracy and you have qualified immunity. Judges are immune, police officers are immune, lawyers are immune, congressmen are immune. So the line above us has grown so much. And the only thing that's left is this millstone on the chest of the American people. 56 cents on every dollar goes to taxes. That means you're less than a half of a person. And we look at what happened with Doge and how much money they found. You look at the education environment and the fact that only 27% of kids, 27% as of 2025, graduate proficient in anything. You get to the inner city, it's in the low teens. Chicago, Detroit, Washington, D.C., I could walk down it. All the poorest communities that are minority communities that they say, hey, we're here to help, are now being driven into a place where you're taking them back 250 years. So the Jim Crow is not what's happening with President Trump. The Jim Crow is what the Democrats have actually perpetuated over the last 100 years. While, by the way, they're telling you that you have a right like ice cream to go kill your baby and genocide an entire generation while pushing people into poverty. So the system is so obvious to me. I look at it and I go, how in the world are we even here?
Joe, it's just you and I are singing out of the same hymn book. And I gotta just tell you this. I gotta say it because you just invoked this in me. It's because of spineless pastors. It really is. It really is.
It's been infiltrated. You got a bunch of pansies walking around with skinny jeans. Are you kidding me? Yeah, telling
that
you
is
to
the
stay in the
reasoning.
church, give us your money, and by the way, oh, we can't get political from the pulpit. The hell you can't. You should
Totally.
There's no such thing as politics. It's right or wrong, and we should look at them more as Martin Luther King said it. Martin Luther King said it.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the church has become apathetic to what's happening in our communities. It has allowed this to happen, and we have not risen up and set the standards of what happens in our community and held a standard to the police officers, to the judges, all the way down the line, right? All the way down the line.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why we brought over 300 pastors to Washington, D.C. for 250th. This is one of the reasons why I preached the gospel at the Great American State Fair. One of the reasons why at the RNC coming up in Dallas, we're hosting 1,000 believers and doing the first annual Charlie Kirk prayer breakfast because we want to change legislation, Joe. We're not just about to sit on the sidelines and allow the demonic Democratic Communist Jihadist Party of America to hold us back and to lie to us, specifically Black Americans. And I teach on politics 3 hours a day. One of the reasons I do that is because I want Black people to know this. The reason why the Democratic Party is deceiving you because they know that they cannot lose 4 to 6% of your vote. So they'll virtue signal, they'll play identity politics, they'll act like they care, they'll hire people like Al Sharpton, they'll take all the Democratic propagandizers and race baiters, they will use them to try to tell you that they care about you, but at the same time, and you just noted this, Joe, all throughout our communities, we are on the top of the list that nobody wants to be on in terms of poverty, in terms of illiteracy, in terms of child morbidity. All of these, are you kidding me? Look at all of the foreclosures. Look at these teen takeovers. It's only in Democratic all-Black communities that you see violence happening. There is not one Black man that's afraid of a white cop taking their life. Black people are afraid of other Black people right across the street that are going to try to kill them because the demonic Democratic Party has been holding back their resources because those people were never voted in, they were cheated in.
And they betrayed the very people they say that they're actually there to represent. Well, tell them that, hey, I'm here to help. I'm here to make it better. And it never gets better. Year after year, it degrades to a place where it's hardly recognizable. And we look at this in schools, in urban areas where the enrollment rate is down 20, 30, 40%. Schools are being closed. They're being boarded up. You have drugs on the street as if it was candy. And the police say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. But you have municipalities that are run by these Democrats that are handing out needles and perpetuating the drug use and creating these zombies that walk the street. And the pastors had man, let me tell you something. You want a Black Road Regiment? You want to get whites and Black people together? You want to make sure that we there's only one race, it's a human race. You want to do it, just put all people of good on one side, and those pastors that are representing or standing as as a blockade for Team Evil, let them go join it. But we've got to figure out a way in our own communities to make sure that we remove the scarlet letter, we create education environments, we bring back trade schools, we help the people in that community represent and represent themselves. And it all starts with free and fair elections. If you don't have free and fair elections, you have a systemic system that is designed to keep people in poverty.
Well, you have people you pay, Joe, that you can never fire. I mean, think about it. If you're a school board member, you know you were cheated in. Like, for example, Detroit, right? We have $1 billion budget. So we have $1 billion budget, but yet you already alluded to this, 80% of our kids can't read. Well, that means somebody needs to be fired. But that person can't be fired. Why can't that person be fired? Because they were never voted in by the people. They were cheated in for the people so they can enact, just
club.
like Pharaoh.
It's a club.
Totally. And this is exactly what's happening on our watch. And one of the reasons why I'm so grateful that our dear president came to my church is because I believe that God has called me for such a time as this. I believe that I am the election integrity evangelist. That's why I'll be with Todd Blanche next week and I'll be in his Senate hearing because I'm asking for Jim Jordan to do a judiciary hearing to bring our people forward so that they can tell Congress that they never registered, they never voted, and that they're cheating, and they're not gonna stop. They're gonna continue to cheat. But look what they're doing in California. I mean, can you imagine it? Can you imagine you and I at a World Cup game, and the third period ends, the referees come out, Joe, and they said, okay, everybody can go home. And we're all looking at each other and saying, what's the score? They said, well, we'll tell you in a couple weeks. Take it a couple weeks.
Look, even in Somalia, which by the way has the IQ of a watermelon as a country. I'm just sorry, but it's not a good IQ, right? I mean, Somalis are.
Right.
I don't know what happened. Something happened there. It's just that it's not a smart nation. But they had an election on paper with an ID, and they had with millions of people. They had the election results same day. Man, we got to wait 2 weeks, break out the crayons. We got computers over here that read them 8 times, knock on your head, rub on your belly, and then maybe we'll tell you who actually won.
Unbelievable. That's how you know they're cheating. I mean, you think about a guy like Gavin Newsom. You think about, just look at the Democratic Party at home. There used to be a day when you could be a blue dog Democrat. You could have a clear debate with people, and it would actually probably be a good debate, right? But now there is no such thing. You can't debate crazy, right? I think you alluded to that. You cannot have a conversation. You can't have an intellectual conversation with someone that says death to America, with someone that believes in the jihadist movement, with someone that believes that America is not the greatest country in the world. You can't even have a conversation with a person like that.
And I'm sorry. I'm always going to call you pastor because it's a term of endearment for me. So
thank you.
I will always do it because I want people to listen to you, but I also want to understand the spiritual value of what you're actually bringing. This is the fire. And people would say, well, that's not what my pastor says. And I'll tell you right now, this is what your pastor should be saying. Your pastor should be talking about how you correct society, how you make our young people believe in the idea that they can have opportunity. Because right now they're starving Marvin, right?
Absolutely.
They have no idea. There's no hope. And absent hope, all you have is violence and the ability to take what's not theirs because they never thought that they have an opportunity to get it in any other way.
Yeah, it's Marxism. I mean, it's Marxism that's built on this atheistic theology that basically says survival of the fittest. We're not made in God's image. You don't need to love your neighbor. And in our Judeo-Christian culture, God has given us the greatest country of all time. I was talking to my 18-year-old daughter. We have an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And I said, baby, every blessing that you've ever been given in this life, it's because of America. You cannot separate the blessings that you have in this life. You cannot separate that from America. God selected America for such a time as this to be a city that is set on a hill. Joe, you mentioned earlier how you were in Africa. My wife and I last year, we were in Haiti for 1 week. And I'm telling you, I went from loving America to being in love with America. Because when you're in Haiti, I'm telling you, baby, it changes everything. Single thing about your life. I was like, whoa, Lord, forgive me. Thank you for America. That was the first time I ever got off a plane when I got back home and wanted to kiss the ground, literally.
Look, I've been in Libya, Sudan, Egypt, Syria, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ghana, DRC, you name it, I've been there, right? And I did some incredible things in those countries. Met some incredible people over the 6.5 years that I went back and forth in that area. Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Lebanon, you name it, I've been there. Israel. I've been all over the world, right? I gotta tell you, I've been in places that are war zones. And people think in the United States, oh, this is terrible. This place is terrible. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know what terrible is.
No idea.
I saw a kid that's 16 years old, never even had a pair of shoes, ever. I gave him a pair of shoes. He's like, what do I do with these things? I said, put them on. They just don't understand. Like, people in this country there's an entitlement and there's just a selfish hubris of ignorance that you can't see past. They can't see past.
No, absolutely. And I do believe that pastors, I'm wondering, I think there are 2 things that, at least for me, if somebody would say, Lorenzo, what are the 2 things that you would point to encourage somebody to either stay at a church or leave a church? I'm going to give you 2 things. One of the things is this. If your pastor did not talk about Charlie Kirk, number one, when he got assassinated, you got to leave. Let me tell you why. Because when you look in the book of Acts, when you see Stephen, that was recorded. That text had to be recorded. The apostles, can you imagine the apostles looking at each other and saying, well, Stephen was a Greek. He was, I don't know, should we put him in here? Are you kidding me? They would have never, they would have never justified not talking about Stephen, who we all know was the first martyr. That's number one. Here's the second thing. If your pastor did not talk about the greatness of our country on the 4th of July weekend, that's a reason to leave. I'm telling you, that is a theological and a patriotic reason. Look at your pastor, say, Pastor, I love you. But obviously, you don't understand that this country was started on men of God who love the Lord. They weren't perfect. Just like, all, and by the way, for everybody out there that's like, slavery, hold on for a second. It was a black man. Let's just talk about this for a second, because I know a lot of people, they get hung up on that and they allow the left to throw that out. Let's just talk about this real quick. It was on March 18th, 1655, that a black man said to a white man in court, I can own my indentured servant for a lifetime. That was the first time slavery was enacted. That was the standing. So when everybody says, oh, slavery, time out, you got to remember, yes, it was an atrocity. Yes, what happened was evil. It should have never took place. But at the end of the day, our country, the 13 colonies, there was an indentured servitude until a black man said to a white man, my slave should be my slave for life. Slavery was enacted by a black man. So for all my white friends out there that can't say it, that's okay. Tell your friends to follow Untamed, and I will say it.
I say whatever I want to say. So, I mean,
I love it. I love it.
And I do so, and I still love people. We end every show with a prayer, but I say some fiery stuff. People are like, oh, you can't call yourself a Christian because you're being fiery. Yes, I can. That's why I'm a Christian. I'm saved by the blood of Jesus, baby. Come on.
Sure.
Where are we going to go?
Yes, sir.
What you said about 1655, even if I take that out of the equation, what we're dealing with now inside of our country, would you agree that it's probably the most evil? It's evil that literally has seeped in and like a cancer, infected every part of accountability, every part of consequences that biblically we're told that we're supposed to hold people accountable. But if you look back in history, you have the Revolutionary War, right? Where black men, white men fought side by side. You have the Civil War, where it wasn't about slavery, but it was a point of contention, and that after the Civil War, it was done. Slavery was abolished, right?
Sure.
And you still had this evil perversion that came in and changed the ethos of saying, okay, we're going to allow this racism to still exist, right? We're going to allow it to creep into the culture of different states. And it wasn't until people stood up and said, we've had enough, the rebellion. And a rebellion inside the Bible it happens over and over and over again. If you read it, it's the greatest story ever, right? And we're at that place now where we have to have this rebellion. We have to have a rebellion in the church. We have to have a rebellion that set aside our selfish nature and get to a selflessness where we're willing to sacrifice whatever it takes in order to save our nation and to keep the soul of this nation, which is so great, that God's blessed for 250 years.
Well, Joe, you're saying something. I said this when I was preaching at the Department of Agriculture on Sunday, and I think people were a little bit shocked. Tina Peters was there. And I think people were a little bit shocked because I said to everybody, I said, listen, the spirit of January 6th must rise up again. If we do not do that, we're going to lose our country. I mean, people don't understand. We are, what was it, Reagan? He said we're one election away, right? At the end of the day, 4 million people knew that the elections were stolen. They came to the Capitol, right? We have the proof. We have the evidence. We know how to detect and determine cheating in every single election. We have a system. We know how to find the people. They are voting and registering and switching the vote of poor black people. I have 7 cases in the courts. I got 2 right now in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals with poor black people saying, I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I just never registered to vote. I never voted. And the Secretary of State is saying this, well, we register you through a driver's license transaction. And what we're saying is, we're there. You cannot do that. You can conspire with the clerk and you've conspired with the SOS to defraud America. According to U.S. Code 18137, that is a federal offense. And look what they did, because you said this earlier, John. I got to say this. Look what they did to Tina. Look what they did to Rudy Giuliani. Are you kidding me? They ripped him to shreds. They took $140 million from him. They made him beg for 2 rings. Look what they did to Michael Lindell, $2.3 million. Look, are you kidding me? Joe Biden's Department of Justice.
I spent 2 days on the stand for Michael Lindell.
Right. What? So you know what happened. So think about this. 1,200. Look at the Department of Justice. And this is why I say the Department of Justice is compromised. Joe Biden's Department of Justice enacted 1,200 cases and indictments against January 6ers. And what has happened since? When are we going to get a real AG? Hopefully Todd Blanchard steps in. Hopefully Cash Patel begins to file charges because they didn't file charges in Fulton County. What is taking so long? It is unbelievable, John.
This is where we get to. This, by the way, is the biggest issue that I have. I mean, if we're just talking about biggest issue, the biggest issue is that we have no accountability and that there is no teeth. It's almost like Cash Patel. Is more concerned about
I love that one.
Going to concerts.
I gotta steal that one. That was cool.
So I call him Kardashian Patel because the guy walks around, again, he walks around in skinny jeans acting like he can do pull-ups. And I'm thinking to myself, that I don't care what an FBI, I don't care. What I care about is, can you get the job done? Right? And they haven't gotten anything done.
Oh man, that is awesome.
But then we have Todd Blanche. I mean, right. you had Pam Bondi was more concerned with being on Fox and Friends, looking like she was 35 years old. I mean, she looked pretty good. She was 65 years old. She looked pretty good for 65. You have to.
No, totally. No,
she's the best looking 65-year-old woman I ever.
No, we know Pam. No, Pam was great. We know Pam. She's great, but she didn't do her job.
But the system is designed to slow it down so that they can actually choke out President Trump. President Trump was allowed to win because they needed to take those chess pieces off the table. They needed to take it off. You can only run one more time. You have 4 years. He came out like a bat out of hell 25 days in. And who stopped him? The judges stepped in.
Totally.
And literally over 60 different verdicts. 60 different verdicts that stopped all of the things he was doing, slowed down the Doge, handed back the keys to the kingdom to people who were corrupt as hell in some of these organizations. And the DOJ was silent. And Pastor, they had all the information on the election.
Totally.
They have it now.
Totally. Right? Well, they got all my stuff. I mean, we've given them everything. It was funny because, I know Pam through American First Policy Institute, and we kind of run in some of the same circles. So Pam and I had a lot of discussions about this. Her meet Dylan. I mean, to be frank with you, I confronted her meet in front of about 100 pastors, and I explained how the elections were being stolen. And I met with Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said, "You're right, Pastor. We're going to intervene on your court cases. We're going to file an amicus brief." And I'm like, "Yes, God. Finally, we're going to get this done for the president." Guess what?
And they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
Nothing. So now we're talking to Pulte, which is a friend. We got Pulte's got everything, which is great that he's a part of the National Intelligence team. So we're going to give him. We already gave him everything. And then Frank Besnignano, which is the CEO of the IRS and the CEO of Social Security. He loves the president. He's got everything. I'll be back next week. And I got to say this real quick because you mentioned something about Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche, we know he's a Democrat. He's been a Democrat for his whole life, but he's in his position now. He's President Trump's attorney.
He switched. He switched in 2024.
Did he? Okay, beautiful. So now, thank you for telling me that. So now, it's interesting because 1,200 deep staters have said, 1,200 deep staters, they have said to Todd Blanche, we don't want the Senate to confirm it. Now, for me, that encourages me. Now, somebody will say, why would that encourage you, Lorenzo? Because of Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was a congressman that nobody cared about his past until he was nominated to be AG. Why do I think they care about his past? Because he actually was going to do a job. I believe that Todd Blanche, I do believe in my heart that he's going to do the right thing, that he's going to file the charges in Fulton County. He's going to take our stuff, and President Donald Trump will be able to literally declare a national emergency. And he'll be able to say, listen, we need to go to one-day paper ballot IDs. Well, it isn't even one day. We need one day paper ballot IDs, and we find out who wins the elections that day, as you alluded to what happens in Somalia.
It's paper ballot in person. Make sure you have paper. Make sure that you have an ID. We want to make sure that UOCAVA, our military, they can all vote. You can create precincts in those areas as well.
Totally.
I built the bluff, sent it to Washington, and I told one of the deputy secretaries of state from Trump's first administration, I said, listen, this is actually how you need to do it. This is the architecture. This is how we can, create safe and free elections, right? And they're transparent. But here's my problem with Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and Hermit Hamid Dillon is that I call her a hermit because she's almost like a turtle. She pops her head out, says a bunch of stuff, then pops back in. You put stuff in front of her, she'll pop her head out like a turtle, look at it.
That's
Like,
great.
I'm just not so
That is
sure.
great.
I'm not so sure that I can eat that. That's not leafy. I don't really want to. I
That's
don't want to
awesome.
take a chance on that. You have a case in Denver where the Attorney General of Colorado, his name is Phil Weiser, most corrupt man out there. $15 million in bribes. You have a QTAM case here that alleges crimes that were committed by hundreds of people inside of the Colorado the apparatus, including judges, Supreme Court justice.
Sure.
I mean, it's really bad, right? The AUSA, who, by the way, I say this because Todd Blanche is from Colorado. The AUSA, his name is Trasco, Kevin Trasco. He had to resign because his wife, who was a Supreme Court justice in Colorado, had to resign. It all got covered up by the AUSA. Then they all decided after I did a show on it that, we should probably hand this off to someone else and be a conflict of interest. It's gone through now a year and a half, and in a year and a half, nothing's happened. Todd Blanche has full understanding and full connection to the Colorado the apparatus, and he's done nothing. So, I mean, I'd love to say that Todd Blanche is going to do the right thing. I want to have hope too, but I also want to have some teeth. For once, I want to stop this haves and the have-nots. And the haves are like, well, they're above the line, so they're untouchable, which is in essence why the American people have we have no confidence. We have no confidence in any of what these people have done thus far, because the only person that's done anything, in my opinion, President Trump. He's the only one.
100%. No, 100%. And this is the reason, I get this a lot. You can imagine, right? Black pastor, majority Black city, the largest voting bloc in my state, respectively. And people are always like, well, Lorenzo, why are you for Trump? I said, the reason why I'm for President Donald Trump, because he was the only president in American history that said the obvious: the elections are stolen. And if we have fair elections, then we have the freedom to access our resources as Black Americans and all Americans to be able to see our money managed and appropriated the way it should be. But the reason why government is so big, the reason why FEMA writes a check to United Way for $5 billion every year, the reason why the Department of Education has a $200 billion budget and kids still can't rewrite and do math, it's because we've allowed the government to get so bloated. And we removed the church. We removed God out of government. So now government is doing what only God can do. And I want us, brothers like you and I, to decentralize that funding so we can get it to its intended purpose.
You talk about decentralization and building out apparatuses that allow for the community to solve its own problems, and it really is that easy. And I helped build a flag football league that's now in 43 states.
Cool.
12,000 kids playing it. I've been heavily involved in giving back, mostly because I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I was poor and got out and I was able to do well. So I wanted them to want it as much as I did. So I would mentor young people. I would mentor people that got out of prison. But I feel more comfortable around the GDs than I do the congressman. It's real. It's a real conversation.
You know why? Because they're bigger gangsters. They're bigger gangsters.
I mean, because they get to hide behind it, and you can't see where the bullet's coming from. With GD, they'll let you know it's coming. Hey, I just so you know, it's coming. It's coming. You're like, okay, it's coming. Wow. When? Today? Tomorrow? Tomorrow. 12 o'clock. You're not gonna be able to hide from it. But the congressmen, they just lie about everything while telling us that they're here to help. Right? If we can centralize our dollars to us, man, we could cut taxes in this country by 30 to 40% overnight.
Easy.
We would just, and from an educational standpoint, you and I, with 1,000 other people that sat in a room, we could solve policy problems. We could solve domestic issues because we could
100%.
force the issue on how we had. I don't care. I don't give a shit about teachers. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I don't care about teachers' pensions. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about the kids. If you don't want to teach kids, get out.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
We've created this sense of entitlement where the people in government feel like they're more important than the people. We're slaves. We're slaves.
Absolutely.
We're slaves.
Yeah. And you hit on something where, it's interesting to me. because our federal government, if you say, Lorenzo, if you could change one thing, obviously fair elections. After that would be, I believe that our judges have become kings. I call them forever kings. Think about this for a moment. And I know you do this. I know you do. I'm preaching to the choir. But just think about this for a second.
You're like a walking version of me. Just
right. Think about this. Obama,
yeah.
Clinton, Bush, and Biden appointed 1,200 federal judges.
Yeah.
These are forever kings. They can fight against a president. They can tell a president that he cannot deport people. They can tell a president he can't give away his own money, even though when he wins a court case, because they allowed his tax returns to be given out before they were able to be given out. He wins $2 billion and he wants to give it out. And the federal judge says, no, he can't do that. Federal judges tell the president he can't fire people. Federal judges tell the president that he can't have ICE detention centers. Are you kidding me? These judges have gone wild. We need to have it where judges are elected just like presidents. We need to have term limits, age limits, every limit in the world. These judges have lost their mind.
Yeah, we're in a lawless society. We're in a cartel government. I mean, these are hired henchmen that are doing a job as an enforcer for a cartel. There's no difference between them and organized crime. They are the organized crime. And I have this conversation with so many people, and I go back and I'm like, I told a judge, I have a massive irreverence towards judges. Because I think that most of them are trash. They're rotted, man.
Totally.
They're rotted bad people.
They're compromised. Totally.
And so I always give a judge a benefit of the doubt until they do stuff that I know is rotted. Then I'm like, you're a piece of trash. I got on here. I put them up on the deal. 200, 300,000 people watch the podcast, and they're like, oh, we hate that judge. They get sent stuff in the mail. And the people are like, I got mean mail because of you. I was like, I don't care. Who are you? What are you going to do to me? Contempt of court? I'm not even going to summon me? We have got to become more, you know what? We got to get a case of the efforts.
Totally.
Sorry, Pastor.
I love it. I love it.
We got to get a case of we have courage, and we never want to become the very thing that we're fighting against. I have the 4 things that I tell you have to do. You have to pray first, right? So you keep your mind right.
Yes.
You have to stand up. Right? These are all biblical things. You have to speak. Always speak the truth. Galatians 4:16. Am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? And then you have to be able to act. James 2:26. Faith without works is dead. We got to make sure that we actually do the things that are necessary in order to put. And then, by the way, you got to go back to prayer because you never want to become. Once you get to action causes you. There's something inside of you, man. It's easy for the soul to become corrupted. So you got to get back to the 100%. Lord. You got to give him a chance to calm your soul, get you back to that place where you could be equally yoked with the Lord.
I think about George Floyd, and when I talk to Republicans, because I do conservative radio station, but I just want to say this: George Floyd was a drug. It was a druggie, right?
Yeah.
The way he died was evil, right? Nobody should have to die like that, whether it was from the knee or from the drugs, we don't know. But at the end of the day, the guy died, right? It was terrible. Yeah. Look what the demonic Democratic Party did. Look at what they did. Not only did they destroy our country physically, burn our country to the ground, they enacted laws. DE&I was enacted. We see Black Lives Matter literally used race to shake down every major corporation, right? I mean, we never got our country back from that. As a matter of fact, our country is so bad because of what happened with George Floyd and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, the whole DE&I movement, that now you have judges telling illegal immigrants that they can come over to this country illegally, have children, and those children are considered citizens.
Get out of here. This is crazy.
This is wild. This is wild. Based on the 14th Amendment, which is the biggest atrocity that happened to Black people. It had nothing to do with illegal immigrants. It would be like me in Jerusalem standing in front of the Knesset, and the Knesset says, hey, Lorenzo, why should we let you off? What's the standing you have to do what you're doing? And I say, you know why you should do it? Because of the Holocaust. They would say, Holocaust? You're not Jewish. That doesn't give you standing. And I'm telling you, We have literally racialized our culture to the point that we can't speak truth without being afraid to being called a racist. We cannot speak truth without being afraid to being labeled something. And quite frankly, now you have cowards that are judges, cowards that are preachers, cowards that are politicians, because they just want to speak the truth in love.
And here's the biggest part about all of that. What you just said, which is the most important thing, is that leaders among men never get an opportunity to lead because the system is so corrupted and bent towards the wicked, the cowardly, and the weak. That those are the ones that are in positions of trust and authority that are leading our children into destruction. Cut off your penis. You know, you can change your gender. You can decide that you're gay. Parents are being stripped of their ability to take their children into the next part of their existence and to bless them into adulthood. They're not allowed to do that anymore. Right? So we've got to figure out a way to get men,
yes,
specifically men, to do two things: build a fraternity of good based on good. And the fraternity is you got to set aside petty differences, stop acting like assholes. Pardon me, Pastor.
Sure.
And really push towards solutions for the community, and then show up. But the problem is we don't trust each other. We don't trust each other. We have been beaten so badly. Men, this toxic masculinity, and then you can't be white, and then and it's both sides. It's like they want to portray both sides, white people, black people. I think the only people to get away with anything are Asians, man. We just leave them alone.
Right. That's great.
Right? Like these little assholes keep getting a 36 on their ACTs, perfect score. Get into any university. You got Harvard saying,
awesome.
You needed a 37 to get in. We're going to let this person get in at 21. Anyway,
that is
I'm politically not correct.
But no, what you're saying is right, because think about it. What just happened in California? They just had there was an Asian that had they were running an outpost for the police and they were spying. There was an elected official in Asia in California that was a spy, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. They are overlooked oftentimes because they know how to assimilate.
Yeah.
No, it's the truth. No, what you're saying is true.
Yeah. They drive around in Nissans. I didn't say it. I said it. I said it.
That's awesome.
You gotta have a little fun, man. You gotta have a little fun. I talk about people
There's
from
nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that.
Look, my family is irreverent and it's interracial, and it's if you come to dinner it's tough. It's tough because people like their jaws hit. My wife was like, "You guys can't say that. Why not?"
That's funny. Oh, that's awesome.
So I gotta get out and visit you. So you said that there's a hearing in DC next week.
Yeah, we'll be in DC from Monday to Friday, and Blanche is supposed to be in front of the Judiciary Committee, which is ran by Grassley. But Grassley's like 150 years old. Like, I don't know why he's still, I don't know, anyway. But you got Grassley there. And not saying that you can't be older and have your wits about you. My accountant is 90 and he does a great job. But my point is, I'll be there. And then I just got back from Colorado. I was there with, I was there with the group with Heidi. Actually, Tina was there. Gutfield was there. It was the Rocky. Yeah.
I was supposed to be there, and I couldn't. I needed to go for a swim. I needed to take a break, so I decided.
That's funny. Yeah, so I spoke there. I had the honor of preaching before Gutfield came on, and then I'm going back. Heidi and I are doing something. We're doing a tour actually in Denver. The Lord willing, we're doing that the last week of September or the first week of October, because I want to challenge pastors in Denver and in Colorado to vote their values for the midterm. So that's the goal there in Colorado, Denver. I think we may do some stuff with Andrew Womack. It's up to Heidi, however she wants to do it. I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to that. Truth
and Liberty Foundation. Truth and Liberty Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Andrew.
I know Andrew really well. So yeah,
he's great,
and I know Heidi really well. So I'll have a conversation with her because there's some people that I want to introduce you to when you're here. And you said
I would love that, man. I would love that. Yeah. We talked last week about it because I was just there a couple Saturdays ago. It will be the last. She wanted to do it right before the midterm, so right after the RNC, the convention. we will do the last week of September, the first week of October.
Okay. So
all throughout Colorado, gathering pastors, ministering, and just doing our thing, man. Just reaching out to people and doing what we need to do for the gospel, for the sake of the gospel, for the for the sake of our country.
So let's do this. I have a suite at the Nuggets and the Avs.
Oh wow!
So we can get 20 or so pastors, have them go to a basketball game, right?
That's cool.
And it might be a good way to get them to kind of open up.
Sure.
So I'll talk to Heidi about that as well.
Well, thank you. That would be huge.
Yeah.
We love Nick Shirley was out there with us too, so it was fun when we were there. But I love Colorado. Actually, let me say this before we depart. I was actually in Andrew Womack's green room, ready to preach, and I was preaching. Then Charlie was coming after me. The next day he was preaching. I was coming after him, and I got a call that he was shot, and I knew immediately he had gone home to be with the Lord. I went on Instagram, prayed for Erica, prayed for our country. And, out of all the people in my life that made sure I had access not only to the president, but preaching, he was one of the kindest individuals. You meet somebody and you feel like they're trying to compete with you. He was one of the most kindest, and he was so kind to me. He gave me any opportunity that you could possibly imagine. And the first thing that people said about him was that he was racist. It broke my heart. It broke my heart. I went to my church and I asked my church, had they ever heard the name Charlie Kirk? And they said, no, we didn't hear Charlie Kirk's name until this week. I said, what do you feel about Charlie Kirk? They said, we feel that he's a racist. I said, that's something. So your pastor,
he was not. He was.
I mean, it just.
He was not a racist.
Your pastor, who knew him, now that intimately know him, no, but believer summits, pastor summits, praying with the president, the things that there wasn't one platform that he had that he did not allow me on since the day he met me, being on his show several times. After the RNC, he came to Detroit when the president came to my church. I didn't know who he was, but here's my point. Let's talk about Colorado. Here's my point. We need to stop allowing the left-wing media to define our heroes. And we need to take back the narrative of the greatness of our country and the greatness of the patriots that stand up for this country. And we need to begin to articulate men like Charlie Kirk is the best that we've ever had.
He was, for sure. And by the way, him and I didn't agree on certain things when it came to election fraud.
Sure.
So, I mean,
sure.
He obviously wanted to stay away from it, and he created he was a force to be reckoned with, and he created a vacuum when he left, and we still haven't filled that back in, and we need to, because our young people are really the people we need to be bringing towards. Now there's this fire towards the Lord, for people to come to Jesus. It's there, but we're squandering that opportunity. Friends, we're squandering the opportunity because we're not disciplined and doing it every day. And that's one of the things that Charlie was doing. He did it every day. He showed up every day.
Yeah.
He showed up at the table every day, and he gambled with the Lord's money. In other words, he got out there and he talked about, what the Lord had to offer, and he won. Every time he came to the table, Charlie Kirk won. He won with the word, right?
Yeah.
So
that's so good. Well, it's good spending time with you, man. Did you want to end with a prayer?
Prayer? I'm gonna have you end with a prayer, just so everyone knows, how to follow you. I need to make sure we get that up there. How do people follow you specifically?
Yeah, Pastor Joe Sewell. That's who I am on X. And then my name on Instagram is Lorenzo Sewell. I'm on TikTok and YouTube, and that's how people can follow me. And I also host a show, Politics and Praise, Monday through Friday, 4 to 7, WMUZ 103.5. I host that show. It's live call-in radio. And that's actually what I'm about to get to. I'm about to go and teach for 3 hours on politics. So it's pretty cool.
Well, we have a new station we're actually building in Colorado that's going to basically take over. iHeart got rid of some talent, so we're going to build a new station. I have 2 studios here in Colorado. You should come visit when you come.
Oh
out.
man, when I come, we'll hang out. When I come, I'd love to hang out with you. No, I'd love to do it, man.
All right. Why don't you end us in prayer, and then I'll
Let's pray. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we cast our cares in our country at your feet because we know there's none like you, Jesus. Thank you for our matriarchs and our patriarchs that have prayed for this moment. We know that with the devil meant for evil, God, you're turning it around for good. Thank you, Jesus, that when the devil seems like he's at his best, we know that you are moving mountains, slaying Goliaths. You are God that make the Jericho walls fall. So we thank you that we walk by faith and not by sight, that you are redeeming our country because we are your people, called by your name. We humble ourselves and pray. We seek your face and turn from our wicked ways. You are hearing from heaven, forgiving our sin and healing our land. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Brother, it is an honor.
Amen.
It is an honor. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's been a blessing. Thank you so much.
All right, and
we'll talk soon, okay?
I'll get on a plane, head out to you. I want to go to church one of these Sundays.
Come on.
There.
I love that, man. That'll be fun. All right. Take care. All right.
My temperature went up because it's when you're equally yoked and you understand and you have a firm understanding of where we are as a nation, that becomes your brother from another mother. And when I saw his videos, it's kind of like when we've had the conversation with Harrison Floyd and some of the other people that have been on, and we've talked about how do we build towards a better future. And it takes the Lord, man. It takes Jesus, but it also takes a firm hand and it takes the ability to talk about politics at the pulpit. And that's why I am just on fire for what Pastor Lorenzo has been able to do. So normally we go to a C, but we're not going to have the time to do that today. So I just want you to know, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. If you're on the audio version, go over, give us a 5-star review, and make sure that you follow us. And you're the ambassadors of truth, so you're the ones that get to share. Much more to talk about. The only people right now that are telling us that elections are real are those that have been fooled and the fools themselves, and those that frankly are complicit in what they've been able to do to our nation. So we got to take it back, and we only do that by restoration, restoring the word to our communities. So God bless you all. I will see you tomorrow.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong.